Welcome to Buckle Up with the Boys with your host, Drew Billy, and special guest, Ben Collins. It's going to be a hell of a ride, so subscribe down below to stay up to date with all things Buckle Up with the Boys.
Welcome back to another episode of Buckle Up with the Boys here. We have special guest Ben Collins. Ben, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I love that intro music, Billy.
Yeah,
That is nice. It's a nice touch. Gives a little. Should have gotten the dance on it to start it off.
No, we haven't talked in a while, and there's a lot of people that wanted me to have you come on the show here and hear about your life, hear about your stories. So, but Ben, just to get into it here, where did you grow up, and where did you go to high school and college?
Grew up Glens Falls, New York, and then I went to college with you at St. Bonaventure.
Yeah,
together. Yeah.
Right. But what did you major in?
I majored in finance. So, I mean, when I started, actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if I knew exactly what major I wanted to do, but I knew it was in the field of business. But there was quite a few like professors like Mahar and like a few others. He was actually a runner too for St. Bonaventure. But yeah, got started in finance, joined SIM, which I don't know if you remember that when we were at school, but the investment club, thought that was really cool. Always was interested in like stocks, I think, from high school. And so, yeah, just natural fit in that way.
Okay. Yeah, and then just to dive in, when you were in high school, what sports did you play at Glens Falls?
I guess I played quite a bit. So like when at the beginning of high school, like before like varsity and stuff, I played football, I played basketball and lacrosse. Those are like the three. And then it was about junior year is when I started running. And then I was not good at basketball at all. So like and I got to see that again this weekend. I took a pass right off the face. Like just have never been great at basketball at all. So once you start to get to like the varsity level, it's like you got to start picking some sports I think that are a better fit for you. So ended up running and played lacrosse right to the end too. So
yeah. No, I was just going to touch on that too. How did you find the sport of running, Ben? Like what was I guess.
So to be completely honest with it, got in a little bit of trouble, I would say, with my parents, like going into junior year, and they said, Ben, you have to play at least two sports, just to, make sure that I was doing the right things. So when I was thinking about fall, like I couldn't play football anymore. Because when I had started, I was a lineman. So if you can imagine that from playing, cross country, it was no longer lineman size, that's for sure. So I was like, all right, so what sport would I do? And one of is actually my uncle who also went to St. Bonaventure was like, you should think about running. And I was like, all right, it'll get me in shape for lacrosse. I was like, how hard can it be? Right. Yeah, I was super wrong. Running is extremely difficult. I remember the first day I actually showed up. So it was a junior year. I called the coach at that time, Larry Woods, and was like, hey, I want to join the team. Is it too late? Because it was like late August. Like the team had already started practice. He's like, yeah, show up tomorrow. Like it's going to be an easy run day. And I was like, all right, easy run day. Like, what is this going to be? 5 miles. I'd never probably ran more than 3 in a clip before. So yeah. It was tough. It was definitely tough, but ran through that first full year. So junior year, this first year.
Yeah. But and then lacrosse. I guess what kind of I'm maybe jumping ahead here, but what kind of made you say, "Hey, I'm done with the lacrosse side when I'm going into college and I'm going to run"? Like that's, you know what I mean? Like that was your sport. It seemed like.
No, without a doubt. I would like to say that it was like there was like a singular moment that like kind of switched it, but there really wasn't. I'd say so. I went through that first year, it'd be like my junior year through the falls like season for cross country. And I finished I really enjoyed it. So in the last race that we had, I want to say it was like the sectional championship. I ended up running the fastest time I had like all year in the 5K by like 2 minutes. And it was like a really like kind of a breakthrough race for me. And I was like, I'm like definitely getting better at this. Cause also too, like if you only start in August, like my peak, you know what I mean? Like was at the end of the year when I started getting in shape, things started clicking. I'll never forget it when it was in first place. I thought it was a sprint through the whole thing, you know, like through the race. God. And then all of a sudden just stomach cramp, like everything. So you started like learning by the end of the year, like pacing, I'd say like it's everything, right? In running and distance running. But when I finished that year and I'm just, so I realize every one of my responses is going to be a bit of a ramble, but I'll keep it as brief as possible
Ben,
on it.
No, I tell everybody that comes on, and you can, other people have, that watch the show. I want to hear. There's no short answers. I want to hear your whole thing. So don't worry about that.
All right. So sounds good. Yeah. So I finished the year, and I knew I still wasn't going to be doing a winter sport, and I'd heard that there was this marathon in the winter in Albany, and it was a winter marathon, and I was thinking, like, I was like looking at it, and I was like, could I run a marathon? I was like, I'd never probably ran at that time over 8 miles, like in a singular like run. But one of my first memories kind of when I was growing up was my dad actually running that same marathon like when I was like little. And so I was like, I'm going to try to do it. And I remember for whatever reason at that time too, I was a bit hard-headed. And when someone told me that that's a crazy idea, I wanted to do it even more. So I had some people saying like, you just started running, you can't run a marathon. So then that was like it for me. I was like, I'm running this marathon, and trained for that, ran the marathon. And I think when I started going into, so in that spring, I didn't do track at all yet at that time, but I did lacrosse. And I'd say at that point, because I had been focusing a little bit more on running and like not playing like fall lacrosse or anything like that, I think it was like the first time that I wasn't performing, I guess, as well at lacrosse. And it started making me really think, and I was missing like with a lot of the people like going out for runs, I'd see the track kids and I like wanted to be a part of that. So yeah, towards the summer is when I really started training really hard for like cross country. And my high school coach at the time gave us a goal. He said, if you show up every single day, because he ran practice all through the summer, and he's like, if you show up 5 to 6 days a week, and it was across the whole team, he would take us to the Manhattan Invitational like that year.
Yep.
Because he was like saying it would be like the first time that like we'd be able to put a good team across on it. And so we ran that whole year, like that whole summer. And that was really it, I would say. And then at that point, I started doing pretty well my senior year and started looking at colleges. And I started realizing at some point that with running, there was actual scholarships available. In lacrosse, there really wasn't anything. So I was like, it started making, when you look at the cost of college, I was like, I should actually give this running thing kind of more of a thought. And I was really at that time too falling in love with the sport. So
yeah, no, and that kind of that's a good tie in there. I don't know if you meant to do that on purpose, but I mean, when you were looking at colleges, did you want to go play a sport, Ben, or was it more? Because I mean, that's a job. It's a job.
Yeah.
Like, not a lot of people. You and me know that, but not a lot of people.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. I mean, like, I guess I really at that time I knew I wanted to play a sport in college, but I had no idea what it was going to take to play a sport in college. You know, and so to me, I was like, I knew I always wanted to continue athletics. I think a lot of times though, like every high school athlete kind of does, right? Too, like everyone wants to play. And so when I was given like the opportunity to run for St. Bonaventure, there was one other school, it was Siena. So Siena and St. Bonaventure, the two schools that I was like in between, and went out to visit St. Bonaventure. And I had a lot of family too, as well, that had gone to St. Bonaventure. So it was always a school that I had known and met Coach Mack. And I'd say like a big thing with that of kind of what he was talking about with his team and like the vision of it, it just felt like a natural fit. It felt like kind of too as well, like the family ties to St. Bonaventure too as well. It just seemed to work out. And I also knew at that time the team was really young. Like I think that Harley year and like those guys that were like older than us, like they were the first Division I team, right? And like in that era. So he was just starting to kind of build out the team at that point. And I thought, what better to join a program that's kind of like that? Because in my like running career, I was just starting out too as well. So
yeah.
Whereas like, some of the other schools, like you just imagine trying to go like run on Syracuse's team. You'd like have to do walk on, get dusted at practice every day. I feel like going to like a smaller program too as well was just the right fit.
Yeah, no, and you really blossomed there. Not a lot of people know, Ben. You were on. I still think you were on the record boards up there. I mean, you had a stellar
I
career.
don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
they're getting faster.
well,
Which is a great thing, but
I know this is on the script, but I got to ask you, how does it feel though, kind of be the first of those teams that before it became Division One, and to see what the program is now? I mean, these guys are 2 minutes
yeah,
faster than myself. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, how does that
I'll
make you
get
feel though?
dusted today.
Yeah, I
I
know,
mean,
but
I think it makes me feel good. You know what I mean? Like I think right now, like just kind of being a part of it at that time was really cool. But obviously, you want to just see them like continuously take the step up.
yeah,
I think that like to me, I'm happy to have my name off of the top 10 list. You know what I mean? Because it's a good thing for St. Bonaventure.
right.
That it's they're not. I don't still like light up on the record books or anything like that. Like having all of our names, like they should consistently be resetting those. And so I think it's all good stuff. And they're getting fast.
Yeah,
Too. Some of the freshmen, right? Like
yeah,
they come in and they immediately just run like top 10 times. So
yeah,
it's great.
yeah. No, but looking back here too, what was your favorite memory or moment as a student athlete? That's
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough one. Let me think. Let me think for that one for a minute. Like as a
okay.
student athlete, like at St. Bonaventure, or just
Yeah,
kind of in
St.
general.
Bonaventure.
I really think at St. Bonaventure that I think it was 20. When did you go to was your first year at St. Bonaventure?
15.
What year? 15. So
Six in the 16, yeah.
were you part of the team the year that Syracuse won the national championship? Do you remember? Can you recall?
I think I was redshirted that year. That's when we had the
Oh,
little
okay.
3 at Bonus. When you were,
I think so. I think you're
yeah,
exactly right. So
yeah, yeah.
that year, Syracuse won the whole national championship, I believe. Like, and at Northeast Regionals, guess who was right next to them at the starting line? Our box, St. Bonaventure, was right next to them. And like, I think like, and it kind of goes into like what makes St. Bonaventure kind of special is that like it is a small school, it's tiny, right?
Right,
And to be able to still compete against like the best of the best was so
right.
cool.
Holy shit, that's sophomore year. I remember because Justin Knight was there. He was right
Yeah.
next to us, and his shoe came untied, and he still won the
Yeah.
race. He tied his shoe mid race. Okay, I mean that's what like
Yeah.
people. I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
I was gonna say, like, I think the
yes.
closest part I was to them during the race was at the start line. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because as soon as it started, they were gone,
They
right?
took off.
Too as
That's
well. Yeah. But I think too, like when I think about that, like that is a surreal like college like moment, I think, because it's like you have an opportunity to run against the best of the best. And so it's always something that I'll look back on and kind of say, I've always believed like anything's possible, and kind of also kind of seeing that and being able to compete against that, I think is cool. Even though they might have, if it was laps, they might have lapped me. It was still
right.
really cool. And they ended up winning the national championship that year, which was just amazing to know that
Yeah.
you're competing with them and running next to them.
Well, it was just cool to be in. I know there's a lot of runners that are going to watch this, Ben, because they either looked up to you or of you or whatever. But Ben Cortlandt Park, I mean, that's kind of it's a holy grail in a way for some runners.
Yeah.
Because of the
Yeah.
Manhattan meet, regional.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like,
Yeah.
and that was the coolest part is like really my running career started with the goal of running at Manhattan, and then still through college to kind of having be that that be the holy grail was just it's kind of surreal, kind of,
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just I guess one thing too, I guess your recruiting process. I mean, we're going to have some young athletes watching this. The language isn't always the best, Ben. It hasn't came out yet, but it'll get there for me. But I just talk about the whole process with Coach Mack, and then I don't know of the Siena coach. I'm not sure if
I couldn't recall right now
okay.
who it would have been, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, just the whole process of going through that. I mean,
What part of it? like what is it like? I think the craziest thing is like you go to visit a college, and it's kind of
right.
that thing where it's like you see all these people like shit, I don't know the best way to say this.
I know
So
that's a tough
you
question.
go and visit a college too as well, and the college is awesome, right? Like the
Right.
people going out, all of that kind of stuff. But knowing that, hey, I'm gonna go be a college athlete, like you're gonna have to give up on some fun, is like that really hits you in the face. You see all these people like kind of getting ready to go out, and you're like thinking of it in yourself. You're like, damn, I kind of want to be there. I kind of want to go
Right.
out. But it's like you got practice in the morning. Kind of first seeing that, I think what I would say to anyone, if they're thinking about going to be like play sports in college, why are you doing it? You know what I mean? Like you need to start there, because if it's about just I want to be a Division I athlete and that's it, and it's all about the title and piece like that, it's going to be really difficult for you. You have to know like, well, why am I doing it? Because I think there's going to be days that you're going to miss out on fun, you know what I mean? But it's like it's part of what athletics requires, and giving up that sacrifice is, if you're not ready for it, it's something I think mentally you need to start thinking through when you start to think about running or doing any sport in college for that matter.
Right. No, and that kind of goes back to like, I remember, and I think not a lot of people know this, Ben, and I told myself I'm not going to get emotional, but you kind of really took me under my wing, or under your wing when I first got there. And I don't know. And then my sophomore year, I was on the team with you, and we just had a bond. I felt, we had a certain nicknames for my, yours truly that I'm not going to say, but we had a good time. But I think people don't really understand that it's a commitment, and if you're not, serious about it, then you're doing.
You're better off just going to college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not being a student athlete, I think, in those ways. But at the same time, I think being a student athlete is an amazing experience. You know what I mean? Like I don't regret it by any means, even those sacrifices. I just think it hits you on the face a little bit your freshman year, because we also played a fall sport, right? We're in season right at the start, and kind of to see everyone come in on college and just be so excited going out, and you're like, I gotta run 10 miles tomorrow morning at like 9 a.m. and you're like, damn it, like I really want to go out right now, but you can't. And I definitely will say I've made that mistake a couple times through my time, where it's like we had a morning run that next day and you knew you had to be there. And I decided I'm going to go out anyways. And you get crushed the next day at practice. And it makes you rethink that entire, thought process again. You don't make that mistake more than once or twice. Yeah.
Right. But the best thing was, and I remember you and me having to deal with it together is, people want us to go out and, you straight up just say, hey, I got 10 miles the next day. Dude, what the hell are you doing 10 miles? So I'm like, we're on the team. We're on the track team.
We used to have, what did we have? Saturdays was 90-minute runs. And it's like running 90 minutes straight. And they'd be like, how far do you cover? And you'd be like, some days 13 miles. They're like, you're running 13 miles at 9 a.m. on Saturday. And it's like, and it's a training run. And you're like, yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah. So you can't drink. You can't go out all night.
No. But, I don't have it in the questions here, but I guess I wanted you to touch on too, and I know you and me talked earlier in the week too, graduating from Bonus, you're transitioning into the professional career. I mean, Ben, you're a pretty successful guy. I mean, we got to touch on it. Like,
you're giving me a little too much credit, but
do you want to touch on like what you've been doing over the last couple of years here? Transition.
Sure. Yeah, so I graduated 2017, I would say, and I immediately 2 weeks after moved to New York City, which I grew up in a small town, kind of. I don't know what is the size of St. Mary's. How big is that? 20, like how many people? 20,000. Yeah, so I grew up in a city of 15,000 people. In the St. Bonaventure, there's deer on campus. Like you want to talk about like small town, and then you graduate 2 weeks later. I'm sitting in. So my first apartment was in Queens, Astoria, with like living with my cousin, $800 a month, which is a steal for New York City.
It is a steal.
But just the amount of people, the noise, like there was. And so 2 weeks after I graduated, I immediately started at Ernst & Young in New York, in Times Square, one of the busiest places ever. And I can still to this day remember just being like, the anxiety of just that many people and that much commotion all happening at the same time. But yeah, worked there for about 4 years. COVID hit, and I'd say that kind of, I don't know the best way to say it, but it allowed you to start to, one of the hardest parts, like I had to work so many hours at EY, and I still to this day would never I don't regret, starting at EY, but it was tough, like lots of hours. Most you're on 24/7 is kind of the way that I would always put it. But when we were work from home, it made it a little bit easier to be able to like look at other opportunities, other jobs, and ended up finding Chobani in the position that I'm in today and been there past 2 years. And I'm actually back in Glens Falls where I grew up, today, travel into New York every so often, but it's been good.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think, and I gotta touch on too, and I'm not trying to make this a St. Bonaventure ad, but Ben, I guess through the connections, do you think going to Bonnets helped you?
Just putting away. I'm going on to the second Corona.
But do you think it helped you though transition easier?
So when I said that part about like running against Syracuse and sitting at that same starting line of them and going to St. Bonaventure and it being a small school, and it's like I don't know what it was, but it kind of gave me that, like, it clicked for me. There's like many parts of it where it's like just because you come from a small school, small town, or whatever, you can still go and compete with the best of the best, And so whether it be in sports or in like real world, I think to me, and seeing a lot of people go from St. Bonaventure, go into these like top jobs, stuff like that, it kind of is the first time that you go, I can do that too, Right. So, and I think so St. Bonaventure, and one of the key parts of it, is the connections. I can connect my first job at EY to starting at a St. Bonaventure connection with an internship. That internship then connected me to that job. And it all starts with like alumni like us, you know what I mean? Now, like reaching back out and trying to find opportunities to like help, bridge people that are graduating, I think, into jobs. And without that, I don't know where it would be today, to be completely honest with you, if it wasn't for St. Bonaventure alumni.
Well, and I don't think people understand either. I remember, I don't know if my mind, I'm a psycho, Ben, so I just remember this shit. I remember it was one of our track meets, or no, it was cross country meet, and I think it was either to Virginia for A10s, or we were going up to Manhattan for a regional meet.
A10s, the only thing I want to say about that is still to this day, I remember starting at the line and there's a drone sitting like 150 yards up from us. And I'm like, what the hell? Like what is going on? And I remember them saying that's when they started using drones to record the races. And you start with the gun, you go off and the drone flies up into the air and then trails you on the whole race. Also to that race, I was in at the dead back end of the pack, just hanging on for dear life. 4:52 first mile, like they were moving, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" But I don't even know where I was going with that. But the drones are super cool.
No, I'm happy.
After this video, I'm gonna go watch that because they have the highlight footage of it with the drone shots. So cool.
Yeah. So cool. No, but I just remember, I don't think people are really getting how much of a hard worker you were. You were working on some project, and that whole trip, you were on the laptop on the old MacBook there, typing away, doing some shit, and I'm trying to mess with you the whole time and joke around like we do on the bus. And you're like, Billy, you got to stop. I got to get this damn project done. Dude. Like you were so focused that senior year, though, Ben. Like you weren't.
Well, I started realizing when I was a senior and I started seeing all these other people that weren't college athletes, right? Like they had jobs, internships lined up, and I was like, shit, I need a job. Like I'm not going to be a professional runner. You know what I mean? I was like, I need a job. And so I was like freaking out a little bit, like, all right, I know I got to run, but I also got to be a full-time student. And I think that too is just like, it was so difficult because we weren't a big program. We weren't Justin Knight from Syracuse, which I don't know why I'm picking him out, but like,
that's all right.
We had to like essentially be full-time students and full-time student athletes, where it's like you go to bigger schools and bigger college programs, you can essentially be a part-time student, and stuff, because you're probably going to be running professionally when you're done. You're not going to try to go into like workforce, so they had probably, I'm sure they took less credit hours than we did and probably didn't choose as tough of majors like St. Bonaventure. Remember the amount of people that would be doing like bio majors?
I remember that.
Like, and I was like, how the hell? Like one of the hardest majors, and you're a student athlete. And I think that's it's wild.
Right. Yeah. No, but what else was a thing I wanted to touch on here? I guess looking back, yeah, the different things you were involved in when you were in school, Ben, like you were in a lot of programs. I remember, if I'm not.
Yeah, so I did. Yeah, I mean, SIM was definitely one. It's like Students and Money Management, I believe is what it's called, and
Right.
it was started by. So no one can quote me on the history of this because I'll probably butcher it, and I did not prep it beforehand. But I think it was literally started with like a group of alumni that actually had gone from St. Bonaventure into like Wall Street banks and like had done pretty well for themselves, kind of saying like, how can we give students at St. Bonaventure the experience, like real world experience, while they're at school? And it started a fund. I think it started with like $25,000. Someone donated and said, this is going to be your student kind of like fun to start to learn about stocks, learn about companies, learn about investing. And it really to kind of give them that experience. So then when they were trying to, get a job in the real world, not coming from those schools like Harvard or like, like the ones that are like usually feeders right into like investment banking and Wall Street programs, how can we give them some like real world investing experience? 25,000. And I would say that today with like alumni donations and everything, it's probably like over $500,000 that those kids get to like learn. So I was a part of SIM, and Enactus was another one. So shout out to Dr. Palmer. We used to always take a service trip to the Bahamas in the winter, and it was a lot of, I would say, to me, like one thing that like from trying to juggle a lot of things at the same time. You're not going to do everything perfectly, but that's kind of also, I think it translated well into like when I was working at EY, it's like you're going to be dealing with multiple different projects, multiple different deadlines. How can you kind of get all of it done and juggle all those like competing priorities at the same time? And I think, doing a lot of that, being a student athlete, being a full-time student athlete, doing those other clubs, like just trying to juggle all those different things. Like you're going to have times where it's like, you got to figure out which one, does take priority. How do you plan out your schedule, plan out your time? Also communicating like deadlines, like I can, commit this much, or you overcommit and you fail, and like kind of learning that piece of it, I think is extremely valuable for the real world. And also too, going to the Bahamas as a college student and like, yeah, we worked hard, but we also played hard. I think great experience.
Right. Was it like a networking thing though too, Ben, in a way?
It was a lot. It was a lot of things, to be honest. So there was a hurricane one year. So part of it was like literally we're putting roofs back on houses. It was like a part of it.
See, that's just the Bonaventure way. I mean, yeah.
It was awesome. And we like too, the whole time there, we'd be down there. We also did, what was it? It was like, we did like local consulting projects. I remember I consulted when I was there for a week on a local CrossFit gym of like how could they like expand out like in the area, get new members, like advertise their programs and stuff like that, which difficult, you know what I mean, to do it in 1 week, to assess like the opportunity to give them, like they wanted by the end of it too, you have to give them a full recommendation of like, when you leave you should do X, Y, and Z. So we do that during the day. We'd either be putting roofs on a house or consulting on these local businesses. We also did for the local community there, we did presentations on like just teaching them different like business type I don't know, parts of a business, whether it was marketing. I think there was like an accounting seminar. So we called them like seminars. So we did that, and that was a full, everyone, all hands on deck. And then at night we went to the bars, drank and stuff like that, and have to turn it around and do it all over again. But I think like too, I don't know. Yeah, it was great experience.
Yeah. No, and no, the whole thing. I mean, you're a successful guy. I mean, you turn out to be, what you are today. I wanted to ask you one thing though, and I think this is a hot topic for some people. Who's your favorite athlete, Ben? Like, is there any athletes?
I would say, I mean, there's two. So growing up, Derek Jeter. I don't know. Like I was into baseball when I was younger, like when I was little, but I also think like his drive is like just the drive he had like all the time, I think was awesome. Prefontaine, you can't be a runner and not.
That's where we bonded.
Right. Dude, that guy was a badass. Like I'm not only gonna win the race, I'm gonna lead every lap. You know what I mean? Like, because he was all about like, I'm not competing against you. I'm competing against myself. And not only am I going to beat you, but I'm also like, yeah, just he was awesome. I think in a lot of ways.
Yeah. No, and then just to jump
What
around.
about you?
Too,
Who's yours? Who's yours?
Who's my favorite athlete? That's a tough one, Benny. Well, Kobe. I always looked up to Kobe. Prefontaine, running wise, though. I just loved his quotes, like, and just hearing about his life, and then just how tragic. I mean, his life was cut short. I mean, it's just a sad story, but I think he was influential all around in the sport of running. I'm going to be honest. Like, Nike wouldn't have been a thing. You know what I mean? He was kind of the first guy to
the waffle spikes, right? Like, like they were like on him. Yeah, with Bill Knight.
Yeah,
at Oregon.
Yeah, but you know, the other thing. What else did I want to? You know, I guess what motivated you, you know, to get up in the morning in college? I mean, like, Ben, the reason it's all directed towards college, I haven't seen you in 4 years. That's the other thing. This is kind of like a reunion here. But was it the relationships that drove you, making that money down the road, success? I mean, what kind of drove you
to wake up early in the morning?
Yeah.
Not much, because I'm not a morning person.
Well, no, I mean,
I
you're
know.
a go-getter. You're a go-getter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, but anyone that knows me knows I hate mornings, and yeah, it was tough. But I think a big thing with like when it was with running, like we'd have to wake up in the morning, but the whole team had to wake up in the morning, and that accountability and like not letting your teammates down is probably the only reason I could wake up in the morning, because I hate mornings.
You always had a coffee.
To bring it right to the weight room at 4:45 or whatever it was. Like, it was so damn early. I don't know what it was, but like Fisk was just he wanted to be up so early. He's like, we're gonna work out at 5:30. I'm like, why not like 8:30? Right. Like we'll just like work around the schedule or whatever. But yeah, I'd say like a big thing. I mean, I would say teammates. You know what I mean? Like just having that like teammates, that you all are going to share that misery, and no one wants to wake up that early, but you don't show up, you're not being a good teammate. And I think for me, it's like every time it's like been in the trenches, you know what I mean? Like at work, and you got a big project, a big deadline, anything like that. And like doing it together with a team is always the best way to kind of go about it. And so I'd say that was a big thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, always felt like hard work is like one thing. You can only control like what you do. So like I always think like positive attitude, you got to try to have a positive attitude in everything, Right. And then like what is another thing? It's like the work that you put in, and like hard work. And what is one of the hardest things to do? Wake up early and go to weight room when you don't want to, So it's like you do enough of those things, and I think it's in general you're going to be successful in life. So I think it's but I also hated mornings. I hated that.
But I'm going to pose this for the first time in the start of this thing. Do you have any questions for me? Just take a break from me questioning you. I feel like I'm interrogating.
You're getting married.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. How you feeling about that? You ready?
Feeling all right.
You ready? You ready? You ready to sign away half your net worth? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, dude, I'm excited. When is it again? I mean, I have your save the date, everything June like 23rd. That too, but I'm gonna forget. June 23rd. Is it at St. Bonaventure too?
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna go to the Burton after.
No, I don't know. We'll have to see. But no, and then it's just I gotta say this too. I always wanted, and your brother too. Luke. I don't want to.
I know. I wanted to get him on. I tried to. I told him ahead of time. I was like, "Want to go on the pod?" He goes, "I hate the way my voice sounds," and I go, "Yeah, I do too." So, but I go, Luke, you don't have to listen to it. You know what I mean? Like you can like be a part of it and just don't have to listen to it. But I was also trying to get Josh Lewis on.
I would enjoy that. Lou Ball.
Oh my God, Lou Ball.
No. But it just speaks to you. Just meet good people there, Ben. You know what I mean? Like, we're 6 years out, and we're still doing it. But I have a crush on the Collins boys. I'll just say, I'm just kidding. No, but is there anything though you want to touch on, or I know you're sports. You bet on sports here and there. What did you think about did you bet yesterday on March Madness or?
Yeah, what did I have yesterday? Oh, I like Miami, but they did not. They did,
Yeah.
I think UConn's now going to win it. I
You
mean,
think so?
so tomorrow I have I should say it, like I'm very busy next couple
Yes, you
days
are.
at work because it's gonna be a tough one. But at the same time, like tomorrow, what time does the game start? Like 9:15 or so. Like, and I think
so.
it's UConn against San Diego State, right?
Yep.
I think UConn wins it. I don't know. I've been betting a lot of hockey lately. I don't know what it is, but I like betting hockey. There's this guy Elio. If you ever followed him, he's like connected to Barstool Sports, and he calls himself the Iceman, and like rips his shirt every time. He rips his shirt every time a big bet hits. And so like, and he's been on fire lately. I don't know what it is, but like he's been just hitting every single one of them. And even yesterday, so I bet a few with some of my friends, some of the overs that he had in the hockey games. I had Miami. That bet lost. But it's all par for the course, I think, with sports gambling. Like in general, like it helps me, I think, follow sports, and like I've gotten so much more into sports when sports gambling is kind of like gotten this popular and like became legal and everything like that. So it's less of a sin to kind of be a part of it. And I just think it's awesome. Like the communities that are like in sports betting and stuff like that. I think you could start a sub channel that's just about sports betting, and we could get on this like every week, every other week.
We do. About picks. we do NFL, but you know, we kind of.
I'm gonna look right now, and as part of my being on this podcast, I'm gonna give it back to all the viewers for tomorrow's championship game. I'm gonna give all your listeners a what I'm gonna call there's no such thing as a lock, but I'm gonna call it a mortal lock, I guess. For
tomorrow. Boy. Oh God. Okay. All right.
What do you got for tomorrow?
We have UConn all the way.
You have UConn all the way?
Yep. And I would do
-7 though is tough, dude. -7, like the game. I almost think I like +7, but because San Diego keeps it close.
Is the point still 131?
Well, I have 132.5 right now, but
I would do over on that. I would do it.
Yeah. I mean, this is a tough one. I'm gonna go +7. Take +7. That's my final answer. I think it's gonna be close. Do you think that tomorrow it's gonna be a UConn blowout? I don't think so. I think it's gonna be a close game.
I can't stand Hurley. I don't think you realize who he is. He was the guy that came to Bonus. He was Rhode Island's coach before. And he's the guy that they threw the baby Benke on the court at him. And the student section got a technical for that.
Really?
Yes.
Wait. Hurley.
Yeah. I think it's Dan Hurley.
So Dan Hurley. So where was he before?
Rhode Island.
Oh, shit. I feel like that kind of makes us, though, like, don't we have to stick with their A10 loyalty and take UConn? Right?
Guys, there's some choice words I'd like to say about him, but I don't want to tarnish your episode here. So,
no. I mean,
but no, he's. I think UConn's going to win, though. I really do.
I do too.
You want to take underdog? You can do that. Go Rocky style.
Well, I'm not even taking the underdog. Like, I think UConn's going to win. I just think it's going to be closer than 7. So that's my take on it. That's my take. I also said that yesterday about Miami at 5.5, and got crushed on that bet. So, I do have, because I did see. I know there's one, like you had asked me before. It was like, who's my celebrity crush?
Yes.
Right? So I came ready on
that for you.
Wolf of Wall Street,
okay.
Margot Robbie. And I'm gonna put a caveat and be like in a Rangers uniform, and like you take a Wolf, like look at Margot Robbie Rangers uniform and tell me just completely Wolf.
Well, I mean, you were basically we don't need to get into it, but I mean, you were kind of living the Wolf of Wall Street lifestyle. I mean,
I would say though, the finance in New York's changed since the Wolf of Wall Street, since the 90s. It's a lot more tame. today, in this day and age, it's not as wild like Hollywood would have predicted. Jordan Belfort, I know, right? He has a big podcast, and he like is always on him and talks about his stories. And it almost doesn't sound real what he talks about, because like I've never seen that personally in New York. There's definitely fun times. There's definitely like really cool like experiences that you have, and there's a lot of drinking, of course, but nothing like Wolf of Wall Street. You don't take full jets to Vegas like he did and stuff. Like
everybody that doesn't really know of you back home, I would tell them, I got this buddy, Ben Collins. He works at Ernst & Young in New York. Oh, Wolf of Wall Street, huh? I'm like, he hasn't really. Like everybody hears that you work in the financial district in New York City.
They all think that.
What Wolf of Wall Street's
doing. Well, I'm sorry to let all your viewers down. That it's not quite what
we were looking for the stories, man. That's why they were tuning.
Yeah, I mean, I wish.
But
great movie though. It's still one of my favorites.
Oh God, yeah. I don't think it's child friendly. I mean, I guess you could be the judge of that.
Definitely not child friendly.
I will tell you this: it really pisses me off when they have the clean version on TV and they don't. And I'm like, oh, where's this part? Where's
that's messed up. They shouldn't even do that. They should just pick a different movie. That should just only be the full cut. Like you got to watch it. Watch it as is.
Yeah, it broke the
record. It's like rap music with censored rap music.
Yeah,
just find a different genre to listen to if you need a parental advisory control. Like I don't want to listen to a rap song that's a completely different rap song than it actually is because they want to make it radio friendly.
And it also has the record for the most F words in a movie. So I mean that's
Wall Street does?
Oh yeah, it's like 457 times. They say the F word or something, and it's like
I believe it.
Every minute there's an F word. There's something
you got to get Jordan Belfort on this podcast next episode.
I don't know if that's going to happen, Ben. I mean, our viewership's going up, but I don't know if I could get to that level.
No, I mean, we're going to cold email him after this. We're going to draft one up and be like, why he has to. Yeah, we're going to get him on. Get him on the pod. He's gonna be buzzing with or buckling up with the boys. I almost just said buzzing, but it's because I'm just drinking. That's all right.
Well, yeah, he can teach us about penny stocks, I guess. I mean, if we could get in that.
Yeah, and also how to put yourself in jail.
Right. But anyways, so this is a fun thing too, and not a lot of people know this unless they were a teammate of yours. You're obsessed with Planet Earth. Is that still a thing?
Ooh, I do love Planet Earth, but they haven't had a Planet Earth 3, have they? Because if not, they need to start working on it now. Because I love it. I love Planet Earth. That was still, dude. Planet Earth 2 came out when I was a senior. I mean, I could talk about Planet Earth for the next 30 minutes, but you watch those lizards with the snakes and how he's like juking out the snakes.
The honey badger.
Oh, which one was the honey badger one?
The one where he's taking. I think he's taking on the snakes. They're ripping them. They're grabbing them, and
and he's fully wrapped up, and he just gets out of it. He's just out of it.
I'll never forget this. It was the freshmen were on the team, and we were at 810s, and I didn't tell them I would bring their names up, so I'm not going to put their names out there.
I'll do it.
But guys, we would come. You come into Ben's hotel room, okay, and he'd be sitting there. We just got back from jogging and warming up or walking the course, and he'd have Planet Earth on, and they'd be like, "What the hell is he? What is he watching?" I'm like, "Listen, this is his thing, man. Like, this is just what I've been told that he loves."
My meditation, baby.
And we'd sit there and watch Planet Earth the night before races till like 1 o'clock in the morning. And
dude, that Planet Earth. So, fun fact for the viewers: that Planet Earth was like the first time that they're able to get like footage of mountain lions. I think it was that well.
You lost your shit. I remember.
I know because they said it was like the first time they started using drones to be able to like get that footage, and it was just to me that just like blew my mind. I was like, Planet Earth is going to keep getting better and better as they start like getting drone technology going. But also the cities episode where like the leopard in India, I want to say, when it like attacked the dogs, I was like, what the hell, dude? That's just great. That's great content.
What is your spirit animal to go off of that? What do you?
I was gonna say a golden
Who's Ben
retriever. For me, I was like, I feel like I look like a golden retriever. I also feel like they're all like energetic
Right.
and outgoing and like
Right.
just positive. I don't know. So I was like that, or I was gonna go with a pug, like the wheezing, and just like I have no idea why I thought a pug,
Oh,
but I just have always felt like I relate to pugs.
I thought like maybe
Just
a lion or a tiger.
No, I didn't have a cool animal. I just got a wheezing pug. Just
What the fuck? All right. Well, okay. We'll get back more on the serious questions, so that we can, end on whatever you want to touch on. What do you think it is?
Are we going to talk more about Margot Robbie? Is that what
we could at the end if you want to. It's up to you. What do you think it is about Bonaventure, though, Ben, that they're able to produce so many successful people, both in sports and out of sports?
I mean, I think the big thing is like it's a small school,
right,
but they give you glimpses. The people that are very successful come back and share their experiences and share like, hey, like, same as you went to a tiny school where there's, like classes, like there's no such thing as a lecture hall, right? Like at St. Bonaventure too, as well, right? Like it's tiny, but they go, hey, like I've made it here and I've done all this, and like why, like, the St. Bonaventure experience is so important. And I think kind of giving to people that are sitting in those shoes, like I've always felt no one knows what the hell they like, what they want to do when they graduate. I believe that it's very difficult to know that, but then also too, like, you don't know what's possible. And a lot of times you like look at it and you'll look at the people, the backgrounds that like have it. But when you have one that it's like walking in the same shoes that you did and kind of made it, and you can develop a connection with them, and they're like more than happy to like help you out in any way that they possibly can. I think, it gives you that first glimmer of hope that like, it's all possible. And I think St. Bonaventure in a big way, it's because of the alumni, without a doubt.
Right.
And doing that, sharing that.
Yeah. No, and I really do. And just to go off that too, Ben, the guy we see today, the goofball, I call you the but you're so successful. We were on the record board at Bonaventure, go to Ernst & Young, then you're with Chobani now. What members, family members, coaches, or educators played a role in your life? I mean, to make Ben Collins who he is today. I mean, do we have the pleasure of being around?
I think you give me too much credit, but
you helped me more than you. No,
well,
like you were the big brother, and then Luke. We don't need to get into that, but I mean, just the two Collins.
Yeah.
I mean, who played a role though?
I mean, there's quite a few people. I think a big one. There's this coach that I had in lacrosse, Pete Hoffman, and I'll never forget it. So when I was like playing lacrosse, at the time I was invited to tryouts for Dartmouth like lacrosse program, and I remember like thinking to myself like, could I actually do it? But he took extra time to kind of always show you, and it always goes back to that. But I think when you're younger, it's like really important to know like that you can do it and that it is possible. And I think he was the first person in my life that kind of show me like, you can do all of this and like you can go after it, and like there's no limit on like what is possible, and like just giving like that hope and that like that drive to someone, I think like at a young age is like super powerful. And Larry Woods, I would say one of my like running coaches that I had like when I was in college, and kind of the way that he approached running, and kind of that it's not all about like that you run faster every day. Like you need to enjoy it. You need to love the sport. You need to love the points that suck. And you know what I mean? Like all of that kind of parts of running. I think he was instrumental into like me being an athlete, both, and also, a person. And then my parents, without a doubt, like just showing me at the end of the day, what can you always count on? Hard work, Right. And so it's like, if you aren't getting what you want right now, and like one of the first things you can do, I think, is stay positive and just work your ass off. And I think watching my parents have always embodied that growing up. So they have to get a shout out in it.
Yeah, no, but no, I always have athletes do that. I just want to hear, who got you, who we.
How about you? Who's yours?
Well,
you VJ's got to be up there, right? Like, I mean,
well, you know, and
when I talk to Harley, he talks about how like instrumental he's been to like his career. You know?
I would say there's 3 guys, and you know all 3 of them, or know, you know of VJ. Him, you know, I think the person you see Harley, who he is, you know, he was a teammate of yours, and then Caleb Blecker, he was a teammate of yours too. All 3 of us.
You gotten him on the pod yet? Are you gonna try?
I tried to get one of them, but he said the in-laws were in town, so I guess I gotta wait till. But I think all 3 of those guys embody what VJ was, and I think that's what, you know what I mean. I at the wedding you'll have to get to meet him, Ben. You know, you'll have to meet this guy.
I've never met him.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about him, and he sounds like a great guy, great coach. Yeah. And like I know Harley, like, right? Like, so what is it in 2 weeks? I think it is. I was gonna like look at a calendar, but I think it's the Boston Marathon. I'm gonna go out there with him and get to watch him run. Boston Marathon is one of the things that also got me into running. Like that race seems awesome. Like, and to see Harley, like, dude, what did he run at Pittsburgh? It was like a 2:25 or something like that. It was fast, and he got like 3rd, I think it was, like in that race. Yeah. And you look at the Olympic qualifying time, what, 2:18? Like he's right there. And like that field at Boston's going to have, I think, Kipchoge in it. There's going to be a bunch of the guys that can.
I'm not up with the fucking runners now. But
well, Kipchoge so he's the guy that I think broke 2. Right, like so he had the breaking 2 in the marathon.
They had that whole thing
for Nike documentary, I believe. Yeah. But Harley said, because I was like part of it, like when he was talking to me about he wanted to run Boston, but he missed the time that he had to sign up for. So he like wrote an email out to like Boston trying to like get into it. And he was like kind of like, I think at that time, like I didn't talk to him about it, but I feel like at that time he was 50-50. He heard that Kipchoge's running. He's like, I'm going to do everything I can to be able to run and stand at the starting line, like next to that guy. So yeah, he's going to run it. And I know that 4x4x48, that Goggins challenge he just did. I haven't watched the video yet, but he just posted like a vlog kind of like.
Yeah, watched it last night.
Did you? Was it good? Yeah. I got to watch it.
You know, I think people don't understand, Ben, you being a runner, myself being a runner, Harley, and other runners out there, when there's slick conditions and snow, sleet, any rain, it's not easy to stay on the times that he has listed out that he wanted to do. So when I looked at, you know, when you watch, and if people haven't watched it yet, this is actually good. Go check that out, and then we'll put that down there at the bottom. He shows the ground. That is slick as shit. Like I don't know how you are going to try to go ahead and do
it. He's also running at like 2 a.m. Like it's like sub 6 pace. Like
if people, I think other runners and maybe got people that have ran in the past or they're still running, I think respect that more than a person that does run. Oh, okay, he ran a 6:07. Dude, but there's snow on, like he should be eating shit. Like
he's also at like mile like 38 of the weekend and still breaking like sub 6 minute miles. I think he told me like when he finished, when it was all said and done, his average time for how many total miles is it? If it's 4x4x48, you're our quant, Billy. You gotta tell me. You gotta get the calculator.
I'm not the numbers guy. You guys always call me the numbers guy. I'm not.
You're our quant, baby.
I'm terrible on statistics. I can't even run a calculator. So
either way, he told me that like through that full thing, he averaged a sub 6 pace.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't want to misquote it, but I think it was somewhere in the 550s, high 540s. I want to say.
That's upset.
But and not to take away from him, but you did the New York. I got to ask you this, and this was not on the questions, and I'm pissed off. I didn't add
free ball.
New York City Marathon. You ran that. How in the hell? What the hell are you thinking about, Ben? What 26 miles?
Race?
Yeah, like I
told you when I started running, right? I ran my first marathon when I was a junior in high school, and then I ran that same marathon again when I was a senior. And then I wasn't able to run through college marathons. They bang you up, right? Like it takes a lot out of you where it's like you can also, there's a higher risk, I think, for injury when you run a
Oh my God,
marathon too as well. So it's like, I remember
Stress
one year
fractures.
I got a stress fracture. Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Like
Yeah.
I got a stress fracture one of the years, and it was like nagging, and like you got to let those heal. So it's like really hard to be able to break out the time to be able to, one, train for the marathon distance, and then two, allow yourself a recovery before you have to get back into it. Too difficult with college running for sure.
God, yeah.
But when I got out of when I started working, I don't know what it is, but I didn't realize how much running was also like a therapeutic benefit to me. And I
Yeah.
don't know the best way to say it, but it's like I started noticing like I was struggling a little more with anxiety, stress, like how to balance those when I got away from physical exercise. Do you agree with it? Like,
My temper, you know, I'm very short fuse, Ben. Okay,
yeah,
I need to get running here soon,
yeah.
because I don't think people. It is therapeutic because you're with yourself, even though you're with a group of people. You're with yourself in your face and your mind to keep going. You know what I mean? So
It centers like not only is it better for your body, for your health, all that stuff, but mentally, I think it recenters you if you can
yeah,
find a way to like whatever. And there's different people, like running doesn't have to be that outlet for everyone, but everyone needs to find whatever that is, that kind of, and they use the term a lot now, like mindfulness. But like if you think about it, like running in a lot of ways is like it's mindfulness like based training, you know. And it's like
right.
being able to like have that outlet to like just relieve that stress, relieve that anxiety, I think is like really important. So when I was working, I said when I finished collegiate running, I was like, never again am I running long distance like training or anything
Right.
like that. And because I was like, dude, like the last thing I wanted to do is like think about that. But then at some point I started going, I need to start like running again because of like what we just talked about. And so I started and I set up for like a half marathon and I ran it. But then also too, I've always thought it's important to do. It goes back to that college thing where I was saying like a lot of different things. I think being well balanced, well centered, having a lot of different like not being 100% all I do is work, not being 100% all I do is being an athlete, not 100% all I do is like, you know, whatever, extracurriculars. I think for me, so I started at that time was like, what's a goal that I can set outside of personal, professional, like development wise? And I was like, I want to run the New York City Marathon. And not sure why, but I knew the way to do it was I also had worked with Special Olympics like over the years, and so
Yes.
committed to fundraising for them. But yeah, I really enjoyed it because I think, you know, when work sucked at times, it gave you another outlet to like focus in and like to feel good about. So yeah, I ran New York City Marathon first time 2019, and then I ran again in 2021. Yeah, 2021.
Yeah.
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 In 2019, this is what I'm going to say. I think I had the fastest marathon while drinking a full beer.
That's what I want. Yep, I had to bring it up. You brought it up. Okay.
17, yeah. There's a great clip of video of that.
Yes.
Just chugging that beer. I couldn't finish the whole thing, but I got pretty close. So,
I mean, that's
immediate cramp. I get about another mile, and I'm like, oh, my cramp. I was like, the bad idea. I don't regret it.
But no, it's just that's not easy. I mean,
Do you remember the beer miles we used to do? Did you ever do one of those when we were at St. Bonaventure? That was like my favorite thing. Was like we finished the season. Because to your viewers, what they need to know is that in October, we used to do sober October. So you wouldn't drink for like an entire month to go through to A10.
I was going to put that in the questions, but I didn't know if you would go ahead. Keep going.
No, yeah. So we used to go like in October too in college, right? It's Halloween time, like all those like really fun like going out things. We just had to like sit in our rooms because like and train and get ready for like postseason for cross country. But what we'd always tell ourselves is at the end of the year, as soon as we're done, we'd do a beer mile. Yes. And it's like for anyone who doesn't know, it's 1 mile, 4 laps of a track, each is a quarter mile, and you drink a beer every quarter mile. And we took that serious. Like we had some really good times come out of those beer miles over the years. I think I went 6:17 one year. That's what
I was there for the 6:17. It was in an undisclosed area. You'll remember where it is. I don't want to say where it was, but I did that. Okay. And I'm going to tell everybody out there, don't go ahead and say, oh, I'm going to go do a beer mile now after watching this. No. Ben, I finished that last beer and I was running back, or it was, I think, coming back in. Yeah. I finished that, done. just projectile vomit. I like it literally was like shaking up in my stomach.
It's so hard to hold it down. Yeah, it's not. Running is hard enough to begin with. You want to add a full beer of just sitting in your stomach, juggling around. Oh.
We had a crowd. We had a crowd there. And what you guys took it so serious? What was the percent of alcohol? Like you guys had this all.
You could not drink light beer. You had to have at least some. It was like some percent ABV. But I knew Budweiser was like one of the beers that you could do. I ran against a guy who drank a Guinness, which was like it's easier to drink, but sitting in your stomach. If you think about it, that's like that's heavy. That's heavy, and that's tough. That guy actually ran a 6:30. Like one time, like that did it. I forgot his name, but I think he was like on the ROTC program. So like they're pretty like in shape. Big guy, could really delete those beers. But yeah, I actually when I looked it up, 617, I would have been top 100 in the world at that time on the beer mile. I should have.
You could go do that. Screw the
I gotta
New
get
York
back
City
in
marathon. Let's go beer mile record.
They've gone so fast now. They're drinking a beer in under 5 seconds each time and running like a 4:20. It's absurd.
Oh boy. Well, shit.
It's gonna be. It takes a lot of running training and a lot of drinking training, which are two things that work against each other.
You're gonna watch Beer Fest with the Das Boot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Great movie.
But anything else, Benny? You want to touch on, or questions for me, or? Anything you want to? Anything
what do you think about the NIL stuff and like St. Bonaventure? Like to me, it's like I think this is an important topic. You know.
So I'm going to come after, and if you're okay with it, I'm going to do it. So we had three. I'm not going to say their names, and people can already know if you're a Bonnie fan or if you know of Bonaventure's success over the last couple of years. Those guys left for what purpose? For the NIL, they didn't get any playing time. They didn't play well at all, Ben. And you kind of just, in a way, shit on Bonaventure by leaving because you want to go try to make more money. But you're sitting the bench. That's that right there. It's the definition of NIL. What is it called again?
I think it's NIL. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. NIL. Yeah. That's right there shows why it's ruining. That's why it's ruining college sports right there. Because people want to go to these bigger schools and it's not even about the sport anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So NIL, what does that actually stand for now that I think about it? It's
national.
I thought it was like name something, whatever. Oh, it's I was just looking it up. Name, image, and likeness.
Oh,
right. So it's that they can profit off their like own like I don't know intellectual property, right? Of, like those athletes, and it's like the how do they brand themselves? Like I know a lot of times like there's brands, right, that'll like pay to have like these college athletes be a name for them. What was it? Like Buffalo Wild Wings like signed that one guy I think out of New Jersey that was like big last year in the NCAA tournament. I think it was Buffalo Wild Wings.
If we would have done a calendar, we would have killed it at Bonaventure, but we didn't have the steel back then.
Well, and what I heard, I think I would have ended up with Keystone Light as my sponsor and like $50 a week, just enough to get a case.
Holy shit! But I don't agree with it. I don't. I think we saw.
It's so tough. It's so tough because what I also will think it's also not fair that the NBA makes like let's say if LeBron were to be playing today and to say that you have to play 1 year for this college, make them so much money instead of making money for yourself. I do understand that and I value that, but I think it makes it really tough for schools like St. Bonaventure. Like I even heard with those, I think you said like 3 players. I don't know the exact number, but there was some like NIL type. St. Bonaventure is going to try to pay them too as well. But it's just like when it comes down to it, these big schools, to even someone who's not a starter on their team, they can offer more money to those kids. And like, it's hard when you have the numbers sitting in front of your face. Like you'd hope that they would care about like saying at St. Bonaventure, being a starter, being a part of that program, but also to say like to someone who's like their first real shot at like big money, like how do you turn that down? I think is like a big thing, but I think it's going to really hurt schools like St. Bonaventure or other small Division I schools to compete with these schools out of the Big 10, Big 12, whatever it is, ACC. Like, how are we going to compete with that? So I feel like they do need to, think something through on that because it's sad. I think it's it's going to be tough.
Well, I'll tell you, I think what we also got to realize here is there's you and myself. If I think back, Ben, we were given spikes, shoes, jumpsuit, a jacket, and then you could do a clothing thing if you want to get more apparel, and we were happy with that. Like we were shitting our pants, and now I don't need $200,000. I'm
Would you
fine.
take it though? If someone were to say, "Hey, come run for our school," I'm going to give you $200,000. I think I would have struggled to.
Well, it kind of in the predicament I was just happy to be there and be allowed to be on campus.
I was
so,
but also too, I go $200,000. I would go that's a tough spot to be in, and like that's where I like understand it. I might
right.
I could buy a lot of spikes, hoodies, and whatever else.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, but I don't need a Mercedes Benz, and I don't need all that. I just give me this.
Yeah.
But just give me the equipment I need and let me go to work. You know what I mean? That's I don't know. I guess that's on the person.
Yeah, person by person basis. I just think it's hard. It's hard to pass up the. That's why I would love to say that NIL deals or whatever it is. Like
I think it's terrible.
They should not be allowed. Yeah, no. But at the same time, I get it for those like top guys. You know what I mean? That like go. And they really are losing out on millions of dollars by spending that 1 year and also developing that. Like if they played for Michigan or whatever, I'm just picking a school name. Like they're essentially like Michigan's basketball sales are going to go up so much when that guy's there. And it's like they don't profit at all from that. I get that. But in other sports, like, without those guys, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I wish I had an answer, but I don't.
You know what? I'll tell you, you and me, myself and you, we've had a lot of runs in the rain. That would have been nice, but we weren't bitching. You know what I mean? We just.
But also wasn't offered $200,000.
Wow, look at this guy. Say, what Wall Street's coming out? What Wall Street's coming out here? But no, I have to say, it was always an honor to have you as my captain when I was there. My captain. Remember that? I don't know if you.
Oh God, I remember doing the what was it? Remember when I don't know what it was, but I was get so nervous. Like I got to be the one to say the pre-race speech or whatever, and all I would ever say is, "You don't give up on me, and I won't give up on you." And like, because like at the end of the day, I always thought that like when you're running in the race, if you could remember one thing, it's like that, and that's what I love about running, right? Like it's a full team sport, but it's like you're all going to be hurting at some point, but just to know that if you don't give up, your teammates aren't going to give up on you. Push through it. That's all I had, but I probably could have come up with something better, for those speeches. But I've never been great at that. So
I think I was an emotional little shit. But at regionals when you did that every time you did it, but that was the last time for cross country that we would hear, hey, don't give up on me and I won't give up on you. And it's like, all right, I'm ready to fucking go to war now. Like,
I'm ready.
Then we do our prayer. We go out with Mac.
Baby. Yeah.
We go out with Mac and do the prayer. And then it was like, all right, I'm taking out somebody today. I mean,
well, and what I was going to say, like, there is one thing that I was going to talk about, and it's like something that like, oh God, what was it? And it's like why I love running. I would say in general is like, like I was just saying it with like cross country, right? Like the point system. And for anyone who doesn't know it, if you were to like 5 people on a team, right? Is that still in college? It's 5 people that can score for a team, right? You get first place, it's 1 point. So the best you could do if you did the first, like if our team won a race and we went 1 through 5, we'd have 15 points, right? But like if you're in the 6th place, it'd be 16 points, whatever. You know what I mean? And so it's like about the idea, like if you displace another runner against another team, it's like you're pushing them back into making more points. Lowest point scored win. And that 2015 year with Syracuse, one of my favorite parts about it is they credited that national championship win to like in some of the people that were like journaling about it, or like journalists and some of the articles, was the person who, and I'm just thinking I had this while I'm like looking down, but it was Philo Germano, I think it was, for Syracuse. He was the 4th runner. And they were saying they credited him to winning the national championship because he ended up getting a place that was much beyond his potential. Like they had expected that Justin Knight was going to do what Justin Knight was going to do. I think it was like Martin. I'm going to butcher his last name, Martin, that like was going to do how he did. But it was Filer Germano that in the last mile of the race, I think he passed. Like it was like 10 or 14 or whatever it was, people. And literally with those people that he passed, made Syracuse be the number one team and to win the national championship that year. And I think that's the coolest part about like running is that it's not always the best guy on the team that can make you win a game or win a race, you know. It's everyone matters, and it's like how you displace the other people. And so to me, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring that up. Philo Germano also gets a shout out. He's from 518 area.
Okay. All right. No, I agree with you because I think I think most of us at Bonaventure were top guys coming out of our high school. And then you kind of get there and it's like, okay. And then you're like, okay, everybody's good. And then you go to meet like that with Syracuse and it's like, shit, okay. Now this is a step above. You know what I mean? You're just happy to fucking be there, Ben. But no,
I agree. And also, too, that Philo guy, right? So when he started at Syracuse, I think he was on their practice squad at the beginning, but he also was a New York State champion in running, right? But he shows up and I remember he had to work his ass off even just to get on the team. Right. So I just looked it up while I was doing it. He passed 14 people in the last mile to secure a 9-point victory for his team, right? Like without that, they would not have won the national championship. And it's to go from a walk-on or whatever he was, he might have got a scholarship. I don't know. But to go not on their starting team to being on the starting team to perform like that on the biggest stage, I think, it's awesome.
It speaks volume.
I love running.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. But no, is there anything else you want to throw out here?
I think we covered the majority of it.
All right. Yeah. I mean, this is one of the best interviews I've had. This was fun as shit.
I had fun. This is my first podcast I've ever been on.
I don't know how.
Find out if I can listen to myself and speak. I might be too cringy for me to be able to do it.
And I haven't done this with another guest, but Ben, I don't want to make you embarrassed here. But before we came on here, Ben goes, "I'm nervous. I don't know what if I'm going to be able to talk." Well, we're an hour and 12 minutes in, Ben. I think you did okay.
Do you edit these at all? Do you edit these at all, or do you just
we just go right through? Yeah, just go right through.
Okay, so you're never gonna get fair enough. Well, we did a good 1 hour 12, I think.
Yeah,
and I'm happy. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks for not letting me bail out when I got nervous. So
no,
it's been easy to do that.
But you played a lot of role in a lot of people. They're still talking about you at Bonaventure. You don't know that. Well, you might know that. I don't know, but I mean, I go with the team and I'm like a celebrity, and I'm like, okay. And then they're like, "Did you get to run with Ben Collins?" I'm like, "Yeah, he was my captain." He's like, "I heard that guy was a fucking stud." I said, "Well, yes, he was." In all aspects, he was a stud.
Yeah. Margot Robbie, did you hear that? It's let me know. I'm a Rangers fan too. You gotta look up Margot Robbie in a Rangers jersey when we're done here. I'm telling you.
He's living a bachelor lifestyle. What can I say? I mean, Jesus Christ. But all right, Ben, if that's it for tonight, I'll sign us off here, and then we can chat a little bit after. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right. I want to tell everybody out there, thank you for tuning in to Buckle Up with the Boys. This is another episode with Ben Collins. Ben, it was a goddamn pleasure as always. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Have a good day. Have a good night. God bless. Stay safe out there and check out the other videos, and please hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks.
See you guys.